More money, you got less problems. At least minor ones, all your basics accounted for. Team elite I run with, I'm guaranteed to be Final Four. Less money, you got more problems. More money, you got less problems. At least
too much of it in the background noise.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Back, Bringing Albany Communities Knowledge. Tonight, I have an opportunity to interview a childhood friend of mine who I've always admired, and I love what she's doing. If you know her, you gotta love her. Back community, tonight's guest is Tatiana Cunningham. So Tat, welcome on to Back, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me, Rel. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. I appreciate it.
Okay. Listen, well, I'm glad you're honored to be here because I'm honored to have you, and I've always loved the different projects and the initiative you were trying to start there in Albany. So that level of positivity, I knew that I wanted to be able to showcase and to bring to the Albany viewers, because they need to know people just like you, and with the right support, how much more you could have done in Albany. So, without further ado, Back community, tonight's guest is Tatiana Cunningham, and thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Before we officially start, I want to shout out my man, Angelo Justice Maddox down there at Fresh and Fly Clothing. Thank you for keeping me fresh during all of my interviews, brother. I truly appreciate it. If you're in the Albany area, make sure you stop down into the shop and get you some I Am King gear. I truly appreciate it. So, Top, my first question for you for tonight is an unofficial question.
Okay.
Well, I think right now it might be 8 months in to quarantine.
Yeah.
So, how have you and your family been doing during this quarantine process? Have you guys been doing anything creative to stay from getting so bored? But how has the quarantine affected you and your family?
Well, I just found out yesterday. My mother had tested positive for corona. She lives in Gary, 20 minutes outside of Chicago. And she's older, so we kind of planned for us to kind of keep her, home. So, she's not, exposed to anything that, the kids, here in Texas, they go to school here. And so I got my whole family. We're on Cuomo's time. We're on Cuomo's time because they're not social distancing. When I came here the first time to visit, because we moved here without ever being here before, nobody had masks on, nobody wasn't social distancing. And when we walked in with masks, people was looking at me and my son like, what is these people doing? And this was back in June. So what I've been doing is pretty much keeping the kids safe. Everybody got their own box of masks. I really like to do the disposables, not the reusables. So they have their disposable masks, hand sanitizer. I'm already constantly the person that constantly washes her hands anyway. So it's like, that's something I just normally do. So we just keep hand sanitizer everywhere we go. Anytime we go outside, everybody's masked up. I do wipe down items. Like if I'm going to the grocery store, I do wipe my items and stuff down before I put them in the freezer or the cabinets. But I am also trying to make sure that we live in life too.
Yeah.
I made a decision to let my kids go to school because they have the honor to go to school. They have opened their doors. You could do virtual or you can go indoors. So I let them do 50-50. So some days they go online and some days they go in. But the point is for them to so they can meet people and not feel depressed and stuff like that. I found them sleeping all day long, not getting want to go to school. I'm like, something has to give. So we created a way for them to go to school half and half time, but just trying to stay as safe as possible, keep up to date with all the different rules and regulations. But I will not be taking the vaccine.
Okay.
No vaccine. I don't trust it yet. I'm not big on vaccines anyway, but I want people to be safe. So people definitely need to be safe out there. Thanksgiving is coming up. I know everybody want to be together, but we do have to be mindful of how what we doing. My mother's like, I haven't been around nobody. I don't feel sick, but you got the corona, my girl. So you got you gotta social distance and be
Yeah.
mindful because you just don't know.
Well, listen, all jokes aside, man, I keep you, your mom, Mama Love, in our prayers,
Oh,
because
thank you, Ro.
that's definitely a tough thing for anybody to deal with. We've had to change our plans for Thanksgiving and the holidays. We typically host here, and I've had to flat out tell family members no. You know what I
Not this
mean?
year.
Yeah, not
Right.
this year. So definitely hope for a speedy recovery for
Yeah.
your mom, and
She'll be
hopefully she
okay.
doesn't
Thank
have
you.
any of those negatives to it.
Yeah, she's no symptoms right now. She got a little
Okay.
cough, but I make sure that I sent her some food and
Okay.
make sure she's doing what she needs to. You don't need to leave out the house, so try to protect her as much as I can from where I'm at. So
Okay.
thank
Okay.
you, Rev.
All right. No problem. Well, listen, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dive into tonight's questions because
Okay.
one, I'm interested in finding out more about you. So I know you, but there's still stuff about you that I know I don't know. But through tonight's questions, I'll get a chance to have a better idea, and I want to hear about this transition for you, leaving New York and being down in Texas. So I'm gonna
Okay.
hit you with the first question for tonight. Tatiana Cunningham. I call her Tot. So
Everybody
Tot,
do.
exactly. What are you doing now? What kind of work do you do? And are there any type of passion projects or endeavors that you're working on? Tot, here's your opportunity to tell the Albany community about you.
Oh gosh, Tyrell. Now I'm nervous and I'm not the one to be in the spotlight or
Well,
talk about me.
I'm gonna help you if you don't, because listen. I'm gonna bring up the Black Expo.
Oh God.
I'm gonna bring up the bars and stuff that you own. I'm gonna bring up trips for seeing. I'm gonna bring up everything if you don't. So I'll give you the
Okay.
chance to do it.
Well, right now, just the transitioning. So the Black Expo, CNYS Black Expo is that's my baby. Like I already well, you might remember, you might not, but when I was younger, I already was doing craft shows. When I was 8 years old, me and my grandmother, Annette, well, of course, one of your favorite people, and grandma had always, yeah, she taught me a lot at a very young age. So I've been doing craft shows since 8 years old. And, typically in the Black community, we don't go to craft shows. We don't really do a lot of that, especially in Albany. Like other cities and places, that's probably a norm. But when we went to these different craft shows, I said I want to be a vendor. So I first started out my first business called the Doily Masters, and it was basically a dinner placemat that you put on a table, and that was it. So me and grandma would cut out some kind of get some calendars and just have them laminated. And I went to, if you from Albany, then they used to have the kid expos that down at the plaza or whatever. So I was set up there, and in 2010, I decided that I wanted to have my own show. So I had my own craft shows. My first show probably had about 20 vendors, and maybe I don't know, maybe 50 people showed up. But it was a tough year. That was the actual year that grandma passed.
Okay.
And so after that, everyone's like, you still gonna have it? And I'm like, she wouldn't want me not to. So I kept doing it. And then when they started to build up downtown a little bit more in Albany, and they was talking about the convention center, I knew right then and there that I'm having the Black Expo. Nice. So when they blew the building up, I was like, oh, what is they doing? And I was like, okay. I said, you know what? I called them and they said, man, right now we're not even booking. They didn't even build it yet. It was like just the beams of the place. But I'm like, I want to still get in because once this opens up, you don't know what's going to happen. So the expo for the first year, we had 85 vendors.
Okay.
We had about 1,500 people. I was hoping for 500. We had all kinds of workshops.
You were hoping for 500, but you ended up with 1,500.
Yeah, we got 1,500.
Nice.
So I was happy. I was happy. I was like, okay. I had a great team that really put a lot of effort, and you know how I can be. So I'm not the easiest to work with, and but the people who was working with me really made it jump off. Like, I sat down with a group of people, asked them were they interested in participating and helping me. Nobody got paid. I didn't get paid. It was really letting the Black community see we need to come together. We all starting small Black businesses. We all are been successful in some way. Where can everybody come together at one that's not a state run by the state and really kind of get something popping? So that's where I came up with the CNY Black Expo, which stands for the capital of New York State Black Expo. So, we've got the New York City, you got people, Buffalo, but what about the capital? Albany really needs to be highlighted. So, not the Black Fest, they don't die down. We used to have, Black Fest used to be lit, Rel. Like the Black Fest was lit. We would go down there, they got all kinds of vendors, entertainment, everybody was dressed nice. You wasn't going down there, you ain't have nothing new on. And
at all.
You had to have something new on. And so it was like that. And now I kind of visioned that. And so but what's different? What can I bring different? So the expo has been very successful, and we've done a lot of community events. We've during the pandemic, we fed the homeless. We fed a lot of the elders. So I'm in myself. I also collaborated with Bridge the Gap with Eva Bass. She had gave me the opportunity. She said, I have this food program. I can use help here. And, we went on. We got volunteers. She set it up. I got food, and I had a couple people on my side. We was giving out food every Wednesday. I'm doing drops off, Nice. And I also, with my job I was working, I also was giving out food to people that's on parole, that's living in a halfway house, So we've been trying to give back little by little each year. We also do awards. So we have a big award ceremony that we try to host and give, just honoraries to let people know that's really the unknown, like, the people that's in the community that they do a lot, but nobody don't recognize them. They're not always like the big spotlight person that gets awards all the time. So that's what's one of my big things is let's get back to those people. So the expo is postponed. This was going to be a full weekend. Actually, the 14th of last week was supposed to be the actual day if we didn't have all this going on. But we had about 5,000 people last year. We had close to 200 vendors, 25 different workshops. Nice. We had Ron Busby, which is the capital, he's the Chambers, the president of the Black Chambers. And he was one of our keynote speakers. We had, she's like a fashion model. Her name is April Walker. You probably remember Wu Wear, Walker Wear back in the day. She was the founder of those. So she came in and she was another keynote speaker. It was phenomenal. And nice. We had some hiccups, but I just said, like, you can't, just to see Albany come together like that, not no fights, not no shooting, not no, negative energy, just positive vibes all day long. And some great individuals have really, really stepped up to the plate. And I couldn't do it without the people in Albany trusting in my vision and really making it happen. So 2021, hopefully, even though I'm not there, I'm still going to keep everybody collaborating.
That's right. And listen, and one, I mean, we're getting a chance to see it right now. It was like, I'm in the DC metro area, you in Texas, but we're both still putting on for Albany. So you don't necessarily have to physically be there. And then with technology, it makes it a lot easier. But like I said, before COVID, I was always in and out Albany anywho. But you brought up a couple of things that I want to be able to speak on. One, your grandmother, Annette de Lavalade, as I would call her, Grand Lady D.
No, she loved that name, Rel. You gotta get me to call her that. That's what Tyrell calls you.
Listen, she ran her own publication, the Classique.
Yes.
And what she did with the Classique in regards to highlighting and spotlighting the positivity in the capital region area was a huge influence for me. You know what I mean? One, because she got the chance to feature me a couple of times, but
Nice.
I realized the importance of highlighting the positivity. So that's
Right.
why, like, even with the whole thought for back, bringing Albany communities knowledge is just like, don't fall into the hype that everything that goes on in Albany is negative, because it's not. You got a lot
No,
of positive and
we
dope
do.
people in Albany that are trying to make change and have been fighting and advocating for change. And your
Yes,
grandmother
they
was one of those
have.
people.
Oh
So you know what I
gosh.
mean?
She
Yeah,
saved a lot of stuff that
yeah.
Daddy, I'm on the call, Daddy. She saved a lot of programs that the state that the city tried to take from people at school, like even with Albany High, you know, some of
Hmm.
the programs they will offer to certain kids and other kids couldn't get it. And she's like, no, everybody should be able to get this. She
Hmm.
also saved Harriet Gibbons because they was going to close Harriet Gibbons down way before it was time to. And she's like, no, this
Hmm.
school actually works for children. You know, everybody can't be in Albany High. This school here actually works for certain children in the community. She saved so much, even the Black Fest. She went down to the
Hmm.
state and told the people at the state, like, no, we need this. Just watching her, with that magazine with Classic, you know, a pastor just sent me 2 copies of the magazine in the mail,
Hmm.
and I'm looking through it, and I'm seeing all these different stories, and I'm like, Grandma was a party promoter. Grandma
Hmm.
was Grandma was doing all types. She had
Hmm.
everything that you could think of, um, that you just wasn't heard of. Like everybody wasn't doing. I didn't realize she was that. I
Yeah,
was 28 when she passed, so I guess I didn't realize how. I knew how important she was. I just didn't know that she was really doing her thing, trying to
yeah.
really put Albany on the map. She really had love for Albany in the city of Albany, and
For
she got to,
years,
yeah,
for
very,
years.
a lot of years before we were
Yeah.
born, Rel.
Yeah, listen. She helped me to get my first job with the state. I want to say after my freshman year at Johnson C. Smith, she helped me to
Uh-huh.
get my first state job, and that was something that she advocated for youth in Albany
Mm,
highly. It's like, you got to get you into the state.
yep.
I'm go ahead and get you, and I think she got me up into tax and finance somehow.
Okay.
Yep, but
Okay.
yeah,
She
so
has some
but
connections.
she has some connections, and for a lot of people who don't understand the history of the Republican Party, I know it's not something they want to hear right
Yeah, right
now.
now,
Yeah.
right. I'm still in that hole, Rel. See, my uncle said to me, you know what, Ty? You need to be changing that over. I said, listen, your mother convinced me to become a Republican, but she taught me, and
Yep, yep.
Black people was in charge of. We ran the Republican Party. We was the
Yeah.
first people of it. Um, it's some, people won't hear that, but that's a whole
Yeah.
other. No, they don't hear that. You should have seen you should have seen how fast she switched over when Obama came in. She was a Democrat so fast. God bless her. But she was a
Yeah.
wonderful person, and she has definitely touched. And if it wasn't for her, the Black Expo probably would not have been that
Yeah.
successful just from her connections and
Yep.
people knowing who I am because of her.
Yep.
I'm knowing about politicians at a very young age, and you do need to know about politics.
Mm.
You should be involved with your community leaders because, like I said, people are like, oh, I'm not voting. Well, you don't want to vote for the president. You need to vote for your local community
Mhm.
people because that's what's going to impact in your community and what you can see. So when you go to West Hill and you see that they got better parks and pools and
Mhm.
we don't have anything but sprinklers, then that shows you how how it affects our community when you don't go out there and vote. So
Don't tell me.
regardless what
Yeah.
you are, you need to do that.
I'm with you 100%. And I would just say, I knew that everything that you put your hands on was going to be successful. One,
Thank you.
because the tutelage that you came up underneath. So, and like I said, I'm glad we highlighted the expo, but there's been tons of projects that you've worked on over the years. And I just always knew that, once you got your niche and you got in there, it was going to be touching. It was going to be successful. So I'm glad that the numbers have continually grown with the expo. And once we get back to normalcy, I'm sure you're going to do even larger numbers.
Oh, so. I'm praying on that. I'm praying on that. You know, it's like just running business alone. You learn a lot. You know, you mentioned about, you know, the restaurant, my banquet hall. I went and partnered with you know, 2 young ladies, and, you know, tragically, nonsense happened in the city of Albany would prevent another Black business to be ran properly. And we did everything we can do to make sure people are following rules. I probably was about the meanest one. Nobody want to deal with me because I'm like, well, this is how it's gotta go. Like, you're not gonna come in here and not be appropriate, not dressing appropriate. You know, it's a certain way. And I miss doing events, and, you know, having levels was definitely a blessing. It was an eye opener. It taught me a lot more. Never go into business with nobody else again. And to also know that, you know, when you start a business and you are in one of the first Black businesses ran by women, is one of the hardest things to do is to run this business and have everybody looking at you and thinking that you have money when they don't realize, like, it takes a lot to run a business. Just because you have a business doesn't mean you're rich. It doesn't mean that you have. It just shows that, you know, you're in an opportunity to really start building and learning. It takes time to get to the real dollars. So, you know, I enjoyed doing that. You know, before that, I had the transportation company going back and forth to the prisons.
What was that? Was it Mahogany?
Yes, Mahogany Connections.
What's that? Okay.
I stole that from Grandma. I stole that right from Grandma. She actually had a dating. She had Sabosa, and then Sabosa kind of died out, and you know, Sabosa was kind of lit. Now that I think about it, was a whole organization, nonprofit organization. And then she had Mahogany Connections. So it's kind of like if you're a working single person, y'all go out, and it was a party. She had a party every first Friday or something she used to do. But Mahogany Connections, I felt like we had a need. How many people we know that's up north? You know, it was a need, and everybody go to New York City and stuff like that. And you know, that didn't work out, but it was something I did try. And so you run into all these different businesses, and you have all these different things that you do, and they all don't work. They all have some kind of hiccup, but I guess I'll just take it as learning experience and keep on moving, because now I'm just like in a new place, and I have all of these different skills that I don't really speak about, and I need to really start utilizing them in other places and doing more things. So quite a few things that I have done. So what I'm doing now is I am still working on a products. I'm working on product production for the Black Expo.
Okay.
And then I'm also working on being I'm actually a signing agent. So I just started that, you know, maybe a couple weeks ago. Basically, what I do is just, you know, I'm notary. Go on, and when people are signing and closing on their houses, I just notarize their. I'm getting paid for my signature pretty much. So it's a very big market here, because a lot of people selling and buying houses. They're
especially right now.
Oh God, it's going crazy. So, you know, you can get 5 or 6 signings a day, and each signing is over $150. So that's a new venture. It's kind of just something I'm doing here because it's called for, but. I'm gonna be doing some other stuff. I just don't know what yet.
Okay. Hey, listen, that's okay. Listen, everything that you've done already, like I said, I already knew that it was gonna be successful. So shout out to you on all of the projects that you're still currently working on, and those that you've already worked on. Because like you said, even through failure, we learn. You know what I mean? So it's not just a complete failure. It's like, no, I now know what I need to do moving forward. You know what I mean? Period. But go ahead. Before I have you here all night for 3 hours, I'm gonna get to some more of these questions for you.
All right, go ahead.
And this next one is actually to be honest, I think it's my favorite question that I like to ask everybody because it gives me more of a in-depth insight to who you are.
Okay.
So, Todd, what's your favorite place to go visit in Albany and why?
I don't know. I don't know if I've been going that long to know that yet. What's my favorite?
Even while you were there. I mean, you've been in Albany for all them years.
Well, I'm from uptown. Let me just put that out there. I'm from uptown, so I'm just if first thing first, I'm going uptown. I guess that's what I should say. I'm going uptown, and it's not I ride through, see a few people, probably the same people that's been there when I left. They still in the same area, but my favorite place to go when I go home. Well, if I was to go home, of course, like I said, I'll go uptown. My favorite, what would I like to do? I'm going to Kenneth or Roy's or something first.
Okay.
And definitely PJ's for some pizza or something.
Listen, man, I never became a PJ's fan, but me and Scooby argue about PJ's all the time whenever I'm on time. Like, bro, let's go to PJ's.
Yeah, PJ's is lit, bro. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess if it didn't have anything to do with food, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite place yet that I miss. I don't think I have that.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, I think Kenneth used to be up there for me, but after Vincent had left, I definitely became a fan of Hotspot. So whenever I come home, I go get me some porridge. I go get me some snapper fish or something, whatever it is. Yeah,
we lacking that here. I can't even find certain stuff. It's just like a whole different type of. They don't have real Chinese food. Like they just. I don't know. There's just different food, but I guess I would definitely say like my first stop would definitely get my favorite foods, and I love Mr. Subs too.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But besides the food piece, I don't know, bro. I just love to go see my friends. Probably be uptown, and if it was like during the summer, probably like a Live at 5 or one of those type of things I would like to do, which is always fun.
Okay. Thinking of your younger self, what is something that you wish someone would have told the younger Tatiana Cunningham?
What? I don't know. I was off the hook. I don't know. I was off the hook, bro. I was.
That's what makes it sweeter. You know what I mean? Knowing what you know now as a parent, as a mature adult, what is something that you wish someone would have told the younger you?
I hate that this is what I'm gonna say, and I talk to like Rebecca or Kiana about this all the time. I should have went to school. I should have went to an all black school. I should have did that. I went to SUNY Dell High. I was so stuck up, want to be uptown, didn't want to go home. Just really, if as younger that age, I had already had my apartment.
All right, go ahead. Finish telling me about SUNY Dell High.
So basically, I went to SUNY Dell High. A couple of us from Albany, we all went there, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I really should have buckled down, did what I needed to do, and go down south and go to an all-black college. That's something that I wish somebody really would have pushed that into me and really and pulled that into me and said, this is what you don't have a choice. You got to do that. I think at that age, 18, 19 years old, maybe even 17, you think that you're old enough to make solid decisions. And my goal was to go to North Carolina A&T. And I was like, I'm going to that school, and then just dropped all of that. So I wish as a teen, I wasn't off the hook as like I was always involved with all negativity. I wish I really, because now what it does is it still makes people look at me how people see me do stuff and they're like, oh, Todd, oh, they don't know that I really have turned into a different person. I do different things. So that bad stigma has stuck with me for some time. And I try to kind of get away from it. But I wish somebody would have told me, make sure you go to school, to a black school, and then make sure that you always keep yourself, you know, you don't have to always be, you know, involved with so much stuff. And I don't think I really had the right person or mentor to pull me up like that at that time.
Okay. Okay. And one, you know, just to add to it, it's just like, you know, being able to realize peer pressure, right? And like a lot of us, like we don't pay attention to it as much, but it's a huge presence in our lives. Because think
Right.
about it, you know, even to say that you might not have had that person overlooks your mom, overlooks your grandmother, and it was just like, and I can only imagine what she might have been saying. But sometimes, like the reality, the reality is like we look at what everybody else around us is doing,
Right.
and
And
it's
they
like,
wasn't
well,
doing
one,
nothing. Right.
yeah, and then it's like I'm already doing so much better just by doing this little bit over here. Why do I got to try to do anything more?
You're
You know what I
right.
mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I remember before the night before I left to go to North Carolina, Raekwon was going to SUNY Delhi. Yeah, he was going to SUNY
Yeah.
Delhi, and it was just like I remember us crying in the parking lot down there on Lark Street. It's like, yeah, and it's just like, man, you know what I mean? It's like I'm like, man, why I gotta go down here to North Carolina? It's like, man, everybody else staying in New York or whatever.
Right.
But you know, going away helped change my life. You know what I mean? Not only did it, yeah. So Raekwon and I remember us. Well, I'm not gonna say us. I know I was crying. I think he was crying too, but I know I was crying.
Right.
So
He
and
might
I'm
have been
just like,
crying. Raekwon
yeah,
probably was crying too.
yeah. He's crying too. I just didn't want to put my boy out there like that. You know what I mean? But the whole thing was just like, you know, sometimes we gotta dare to be different, and we gotta do
Right.
the opposite of what everybody else is doing. Because I would have never known what my life was gonna be like as a result of going to Charlotte. You know what I mean? But now, as an adult, looking back, it was one of the best things ever. You know what I mean? But back then, it was just like, you know what? Maybe I could just stay in New York. Maybe I can go to a SUNY school with everybody else too, and you know what I mean, still be close to everybody, not have to worry about traveling back and forth from
Right.
North Carolina to New York. So. You know,
But no, you know what?
I hear you.
You did like what I wanted to do. I wish I should have done.
Hmm.
All right. So you know, Raekwon was like a real. He made it fun. Like
Yeah.
he made it a good time. Like I can remember so many things that we did, and Raekwon was like, "Man, we gotta make the best of the best of it." But you know, I don't. I guess I shouldn't say I didn't have a mentor. I guess I needed somebody a little bit more my age that I
Gotcha.
could relate to, or a little bit older. That was like, we going as a team and let's go. Like how you said you and Raekwon was like, let's go, let's go. Like I don't think nobody was thinking about going down south. We all was like, we going to college, and that was it. And it didn't. It wasn't. We just didn't. I just wish somebody would have been able to say, let's make this happen. And I know life would have been totally different if I did that.
Okay. Okay. I got a question for you. What role did racism play, if any, during your early studies, kindergarten to 12th grade? Did you ever recall or remember experiencing racism?
Yeah, I always think white people don't. They always after um black people. I don't know if that comes from just when I was very young, like kindergarten. I went to Kenwood and Masterson, so um Kenwood was more of like a private, like Don't Store it was Kenwood.
Mm.
And so you know, my grandmother and my mother was paid for me to go to a really good school, you know, and it was more diverse. And so about first and second grade, my mother moved to Waterville. And at that time, my mother was dating a white guy. And my mother wasn't really the one to date, like, or have men around her. So she must have really cared about this individual. And we lived in a beautiful house. His parents had a pool. They lived in Waterville too. And I went to pretty much an all white school. And I didn't know it then. Like the teachers, I felt like I always felt like I was out of place because they just didn't relate to anything. I had one friend, her name was Mary, and she was the only one that felt like me and her was like we had a connection. Like we went to the New Kids on the Block concert together. She had everything. I'll go to her house and I'm like, yo, she got everything. So I used to look at it, and her thing was very nice, but it was this one girl. She had invited all the girls in her class but me. All the girls. And she didn't invite, no, she invited everybody in her class but me and Mary. And it was because I was black and Mary played with me. You know, so Mary's mom was like, don't worry about it, girls. We'll do, you know. And I felt like, okay, white people really do love us. Like you can really, but I always felt like, you know, you only find some white people like that. Yeah. And so what I did is with my kids, I'm like, y'all going to charter school. I want you to see black teachers, black men, you know, black principals, and be able to see that white people don't always have everything nice. And as kids, as white, you know, black kids coming up, you thinking the white people got everything. And racism has played in a lot of ways, you know, with me in life. And I don't know if you could ever say you can get around it because, you know, just because you black, soon as they hear your voice or they hear your name, is like you already feel like you being judged. You know, my cousin out here went to buy a house, and her husband got a regular name. It's not, you know, exotic name. He got a regular name, regular last name. And this just recently happened, and they basically denied him. This man makes great money. They denied him for the house. He can truly afford it, but it was just because, oh, I don't want to sell my home to no black person. And so black people deal with it every day. I think we all deal with little issues that we just don't. We so used to it that, you know, we just don't even understand. Wait, people won't even understand what we go through because we go through it so much that it comes the norm. So racism has definitely played a big part. You know, I'm trying to, you know, definitely get connected with more white people that understand black people and respect us. But I don't want to be talking to a white person because you feel sorry.
Correct.
Or you want to just come back and what can I do for you because I feel bad that this has happened to you. You need to already be in tune and understanding that you're genuine. You're not just want to be involved or, you know, connect with people just because you feel bad now.
Okay. You know, one of the things I challenge myself on it, and I think as black people, we're always put in a position to try to make other people feel comfortable around us, right? And it just is what it is. But I can say that I have definitely learned that even early on in my life that there are some beautiful white people, there's some beautiful black people, some beautiful Hispanic people, and then there's some poor bad people from every last one of these too. So, you know, I mean, what I've tried to do or what I say is, you know, I want to be the example of what it could look like. So, you know, when you look at me and say, you know, I have a diverse group of friends. I got black friends, I got white friends, I got Arab friends. You know, moving to Morocco changed my life. You know what I mean? I was just like, so, you know, and I think that's how it starts to change, because you can have those conversations right now. As a nation, we're having conversations on race, we're having conversations on police brutality, and it's never been to this level, right? You know what I mean? So now it's just kind of like, you know, what part do I want to play in the dialogue that's going on to try to make it better, not only for myself but for people who's going to come up underneath me, my kids, your kids.
Right,
you know what I mean? So
you want, like, even when you had the model program, like that right there that program is what Albany needs now. You know, it needs that, because these young black guys, these young black boys, they don't know what they facing. You know, that means, like, you know, on the other side of Albany is black, right? And then you could see the division, right? So uptown, pretty much Clinton Ave, at one point, it used to be white people that owned restaurants and businesses. And then they moved down or moved to Colony, and you can't get a house in Colony if you don't own it, you know. So you know, they very particular on who they let in their town. And so certain boys and girls don't have an opportunity to have a program like what you had, like really showing them like it's more to do besides hang out in the corner or hang out in the streets. And once you get off the corner in the streets, that's acceptable there. But when you go out into the real world, when you step over Central Avenue to the white area, and you know, now you're going to be looked upon. So you have to be very mindful how you present yourself. Young kids don't see it now. Even my son, he want to wear his pants down to his butt. I said, you got to pull your pants up. People don't take you serious when you walking around with your butt showing. You do that when you with your friends, but when you going to work or you going to be in a public or school, you need to look presentable, because they automatically look at you like you're ignorant. You don't know no better, and so you do. And so I think that's where racism is, like, we live in like a bubble, you know, in the city of Albany, and it is very much divided. Yeah, they kind of coming into the area now. They buying up Clinton Ave and First Street, but they see is low value, and these are $1 million homes that we could have been invested in. You know, so, you know, we need to really start realizing that, you know, we have value in the city of Albany. We need to start utilizing it, buying back, and not allow, you know, racism to get in the way, because I was told when I had levels that the city of Albany is ran by the old white, what they call them? The old white boys club or something to that effect. And I was just like, I ain't get it at first, but it really is. And so, you know, politics and racism is something that the city of Albany has a real strong, is a real big issue there. And so I think I've dealt with racism. I've seen more Trump signs in Albany than I did here in Texas. Trump signs and rallies. And so I'm like, it's really big. So racism plays a big part in the city of Albany. And I've definitely just feel like I've dealt with it a lot. I just can't say, I just feel like it's just like the norm. Like you just expect to be treated that way because we've been dealing with it for so long. So racism is definitely an issue that needs to be addressed, but it starts with us teaching our kids how we can move forward and making sure we're doing things right, so they're not looking down upon, because something's going to change.
Yep.
When your boys get older, it's going to be different.
Yeah, but the difference starts with you and I, and it's just like, you know, I have a really close friend. He lives down in Dallas too, over in Flowermont. Me and him was just talking last night, and it was just like, we have to be the example of change that we hope to see. Right. Period.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can always say what it is that we want. We can say how things should be, but I have to be the representation of that. You got to be the representation of it. So it's just like, you know, there's nothing that we can change about our history or our backgrounds, and there's nothing that we need to. Like I said, I love the wild and toxic top two that was sitting there running the streets, because to be honest, listen, to be honest, even in that, you were still positive.
I know. I try to be.
I can tell you that, you know what I mean, from the outside looking in. So it's like, yeah, I might be involved in interacting with all of this, but to be honest, you know, I got a different mindset. I got a different vision. You know what I mean? But I also know how to play in what I'm playing in. I did the same thing. So you know, it's like, I can sit here. I can run with OSB. I can run with all of these different groups or whatever. But at the same time, it was just like, you know, this ain't gonna be the end for me here. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? Hey, this is a phase. This is something that I gotta go through, because that's the reality of where I live at right now. But this I don't want it to end here. And by the grace of God, it didn't.
And with that, you know, I think about when my mother moved. My mother left Albany in 97. Yeah, 97. She left in 97, and that's when I moved with grandma and stayed with her full time. And she lived in Delmar, and it was like, I don't want to be out here. You know, I don't want to live on. We got to get on the 18 to drive. Like, it was just like, but I, you know, really should have been utilizing the fact that it was a better school district. You just don't know. And so, you know, I know that you know, we grew up at probably the best times in Albany, you
Yeah.
know, where everything was like everything. Like people from all over would come to Albany and be like, "Oh, it's really not that bad." They thought we was like real country. Till you get there, we run you right out we run you right out the town, run you right out the town. But however, it just we had St. Joseph's, the Boys and Girls Club, and that they taking those things away from kids. And one of the things that really hit home with me with Day Day was he said, "Mom, you know, once they closed the YMCA, everybody didn't have nothing else to do, and we all just kind of broke off and started doing things they have no business doing." And I'm like, he said, we used to go, we had Cook, you know, having us with the teen night. Like they had something to look forward to. We have so much more to look forward to. And I think with 2020, they should have way more opportunities than we did. And, you know, so it's some work that we got to do. And hopefully, you know, one day, even though somebody will get the job done, even if it's not me or you.
Yeah, hey, listen, and I think that almost every person that I've interviewed thus far has touched on that. It was just like thinking about the shortage of places for the kids in Albany to go. We had St. Joseph, Arbor Hill, you had the Boys and Girls Club. You had the center up on. You had the VI. Listen, there was so many different places for every part of the city.
Right.
And it's just like for us to not have a place or the place to go to, just like, you know, as the city, they really have to look into that. And I know that's one of the arguments that a lot of the councilmen are bringing up right now. Me and DJ talk about it all the time. And I think Jamel Robinson, he was part of the groundbreaking for the new community center that's going to be coming up on 3rd Street at 3rd Street Park.
You know what I mean? Okay, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. No, so it was they did that announcement at the same time at Sweeta's funeral. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I was there too. And it just like a good brother, like that jump, it hurt, you know, like this is a childhood friend. We all grew up around all kinds. I remember when he told me that his name ain't Sweeter no more. His name is Stills. I'm like, I'm not calling you that. I remember, like, it's just we have so many great people, and he, you know, smart, very smart dude. Like he ain't never missed no day of school when we was in school. Like a real good thing. And so you think about, you know, these young kids is facing, you know, world destruction, and they don't have anything. So, you know, they need to do something. They build in all of these parks and things in other areas. They need to really have something for them. We used to even remember, you used to go to Lincoln, the downtown kids would go to Lincoln, but we would go to Albany High and go swimming as kids, you know, and it was, so they made some things for us to do. You have all these schools. Why can't some of these schools be open to some of these kids to come there and really utilize the space? You know, Green Tech did that, but you know, you're dealing with a ward problem now. You got kids from uptown, you got kids from downtown. They all not going to this one school, because they're not going to get along. And I think, you know, it just needs to have, like you said, separate different places and different communities that's set for those kids in that community to keep each other safe. I don't know. They need to work on. I'm glad to hear that they have something going, but we definitely need more support for the youth there.
Okay. That leads me to my next question. And I say, I mean, even thinking about Stills, but sadly, Albany has seen more and more violence, and our communities have experienced a lot of loss over the past few years, definitely in 2020. But what changes would you like to see? What is your hope for Albany, Todd?
I hope Albany get it together. You know, like I mentioned before we even got on recording, you know, my daughter was shot. She's 15 years old. And you know, her style, you know, she's tomboyish, you know, but you know, you don't know if that was, you know, intentionally or was it a mistake. You know, what I want to see for Albany is that we all need to know that none of us yet, some do. I know you do. Nobody owns any property on these streets that you guys are ripping and running about. Like, there is homeowners, but a lot of these children are fighting for the name of the street, fighting for just oh, you was talking about my dads. I have teens, and I'm hearing this all the time. And so, what you guys, what they need to know is the change in Albany is the police. Is nothing that we can really do with the police as far as them doing. They got to do their job. I mean, I know they say defund the apartments, and somebody has to do something. Because if they don't, then where will just leave the younger children, the kids that's coming up. I would love to see the community stick together and stop being petty. Everybody cannot come together. Everybody needs to learn how to be able to come together and do work. If you uptown and you run in the baseball field, everybody needs to work together collectively. You downtown and you in wherever, you need to work collectively. So it can be it can be successful. It can't be successful if everybody is bickering about who got this recognition, who got that. Albany needs to get out of the small-minded thinking and really, really buckle down and research on how other communities such as Albany, how do they come together? What programs they have that helps us be that strive. One of the things at the expo, how do you buy back the block? We had presentations. Nobody didn't come. This is a free workshop, how you can find out how you can buy buildings. We had community loan fund come in there, talk about how we can give them loans. There's money in the community. If we don't utilize these services and we don't tap into the different things that we have, other people from New York City, other people from everywhere else is going to come in and take it, and then now we have nothing for us that's there. And then they wait and say, oh, well, y'all gave it to the people, well, it's been there and you didn't utilize it. So people really in Albany need to start researching, paying attention to what they have to offer, especially if you're a young woman or a young man that's really interested in running a business. Utilize free workshops, go to community loan fund, tap into Zoom calls. You spend hours on Facebook. You should spend some time researching on how you could be successful and how you can also volunteer in your community. So I would like to see, instead of the nonsense, who's doing what, I only support her, I don't like him. Let's come together and figure out how we can clean up the streets and make it a better living. It really needs to be some kind of support with one another. And I don't know how to do it, but somebody one day we need to step up and say, this is what it is. Let's start working together as a team and not against one another.
Okay. And I was having a conversation. It might have been with DJ again too, though. But I take that back. It wasn't DJ. It was Larcel Stovall, and he was just saying that sometimes it's harder to work on the larger picture of things. But just imagine what it would be like if each one of us just decided to be a better representative in our own household, in our own family. Which is like, because family dynamics is a whole nother problem just by itself. Wanting the best and trying to advocate for everyone to have the best, because everyone has their own vision, their own way. But imagine if we just decided to be great representations, or a great representation within our own households. And it was like, if everyone did that in their own household, you can learn better. Because right now we might not know how to work together without it being confrontational or a competition thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it is. It gets like that. You always got the one person that think they know it all, right? And then you have that one person that's scared to speak up, and then you have that one person that just is it like in between. And so on a large scale of it is kind of hard. So you might make a good point about just kind of working with it at home, but it does have to change. If not, Albany will continue to be stagnated and undeveloped if we do not continue to support one another and start to really, really tap into what stuff they have to offer. I applied for grants, right? And some, I got denied on all levels for my grants, and I'm looking at some of the businesses that they they actually rewarded for, and it was nothing. It was nothing that, you know, was black, you know. You got the downtown bid. I'll tell you, one of the, you know, the things that I did with the Albany downtown bid is they were great supporters, right? But a friend of mine, Todd, you need to go apply for this grant. Now, I never did a grant before in my life, Ralph. But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna figure it out. And I applied for the grant. I had to jump through every hole, and they didn't even give me the max, but I jumped through hoop after hoop after hoop after hoop. Oh, you forgot an I. Oh, you forgot this. Or you forgot that. We need this. We need that. And so, how do we learn? How do you learn that? I didn't have somebody to teach it to me. I had to figure it out on my own. You know. So with that being said, it's just like, I have to research and find out what programs and what things are out there. But if I didn't have somebody that knew from the city, you know, this program you need to go apply for this grant, I would have never knew nothing about it. So it's kind of like they have stuff right there for us. They just don't let us know. And, you know, so that's why I'm suggesting for everybody to research, because there's things out there to help us get things moving without the city stepping up, or the state stepping up. We can kind of do it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, but still, that goes back to part of it. I mean, part of it is on us. This is like, you know, I'm gonna say I'm a huge advocate of, you know, not placing the blame on anybody else, because it gives them too much power. So,
Right.
and I hate feeling hopeless, or in a sense that I can't do anything. So it's just like, if I can change my thinking on the situation, I can go ahead and find another way to wiggle up out of it, or to make it better. So just like, you know, there's a lot of things that we can do even without the support of those grants or other entities. But those are great. But we need to have a centralized place, or people that we can connect with that'll help us and guide us through those processes, so that way, where we don't, if you didn't have the experience with grant writing, you know that, you know, I can reach out to this person, because this person helps out the community for grants and stuff like that, you know.
Right,
So,
right.
you know what I mean? But I think that there's advantages to being in a small city, Top. So Albany is a small city, right? And it's disadvantages and it's advantages. It's advantages because everyone knows everyone. So one, you got to understand the value of having a rapport with different people. Understand the value of having a reputation. Your reputation procedures a lot of times. So just like, you know, being in a small place is you can be directly connected to almost anything and everybody. So it's just like, and your competition isn't so much on a larger scale. Like you just moved to Dallas is huge. I mean Texas is huge,
and Dallas,
you know what I
is
mean?
huge itself. You know, this place is crazy. It's like, I could go to Albany and Brooklyn and still be in Dallas. Like, it's like this place is that huge. So it's so much ground. And it's room for you to do what you need to do. And you're right, coming into a small city, being raised in a small city, you know, I couldn't believe, you know, you just don't see the big difference at first until you actually are in a new area and you're starting to see, you know, damn, we got this, or they have that. Oh wow, we don't got that, you know, or dang, they got this store, or, you know, things that, you know, you just don't. You know, I can go to what's called like a Galleria or something, and I can go there. They got Gucci, they got everything in your mama. You're not getting that in Albany. You got to go to New York to get that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I'm going in to spend that kind of money, but it's just different levels of things to offer in a major city compared to being in a small city. And I think it scares me so much because I'm so used to living in a small city. I'm like, it's easy for me to do the expo there. I don't know if I could do that here. You know, it's just, you know, it's just a different way, you know, and just trying to figure out like how we can continue to support Albany from a larger, we need a larger a network of support with one another, and to making sure that whatever we're doing, you know, even if it's where you at or where I'm at, you know, we giving some kind of support to people that can make for the people that's there to make it still be how it could be better than what it is. It could really be better.
Correct. And to be honest, a lot of times it could just be too though. So imagine if Daryl McCray from Bricks had said
Good
he's like
man.
Tyrell, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Some people are visionaries. Some people can see
Right.
different things. But imagine if all of the visionaries leave.
Mhm.
Imagine what the city is left with, right?
Right. Right.
So it's kind of like, you know, some of us leave for different reasons, but it's still opportunities for us always to give back and to stay connected. And through back, you know what I mean? That's one of the things that I wanted to highlight. It's just like, you know, yeah, you can live millions and millions of miles away now, but guess what? There's still ways to be connected if it's even if it's just through your voice and your story, because
Mhm.
other people need to be able to see a person like you, Todd, and be able to say that, you know what, yo, she came up this way. She's from uptown. But guess
Mhm.
what? She's doing X, Y, and Z, and she's still herself. She's still her authentic self.
Mhm.
And you know, I think a lot of times we, and I know for me, it deterred me as a young adult because I thought in order to do positive for myself, I had to change who I was, and I was so scared of losing my authenticity. And it was
Right.
like, you know, so it was like once you learn that, guess what? You can still be authentic and still do positive for yourself.
You
You
can.
know what I mean? And it's like, so
And
once you learn that, you're like, oh, I didn't know it was possible. So
you know what? I think I learned that about 30, like 33 years old. Like
mm,
once you start to really, you learn yourself now when you're in your 30s,
mm,
right? So, you know, you really get into, all right, who am I, right? So how can I still be myself? You're not the young person that you are. You're not 20 something. You know, you're getting up there, you know, in age. And so how can you be still official, right? You still want to
mm,
have that. I think I get better relationships just for me being me. And when I feel like if I ever feel like I gotta be somebody else, I don't want to do it. I don't want to connect because it kind of makes you feel. It just makes you feel uncomfortable if you can't be
yes,
yourself. So I want to be me. So but I've learned I have to tone it down in order for other people to understand me,
mm,
and be able to be clear with people so they understand. Like at this point, you really need to make sure that you know you can still be you, but don't be. But sometimes you have to tone it up, just because other people, especially new, they don't know me here, right? I can't be that same type as I think, right? But once I get comfortable with it, then I know listen. I'm gonna be myself, and I'm gonna continue to be because I get more done when I'm myself. I can't be somebody else. So I feel you on that one.
okay. What about your life's path, Todd, are you the most proud of?
Uh, I don't know. My life's path.
Yep. What about your life's path are you the most proud of?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't
Hey,
know.
well, if you don't know, I will accept that I don't know. But guess what? It is going to be a good place to start. It's going to be a good place to start to figure out because you have done some amazing things, and part of being able to be motivational and inspiration to others is also being able to realize how you have motivated and inspired yourself because you know what I mean, without having as much help and back and support, you know what I mean, you've still got up, started a whole bunch of different initiatives and desire, even that move. Like I said, you know,
Oh,
I would sit there and text with you and fight with you on like, go. Like,
right.
I don't know. I was like, listen, go.
You know
So,
I'm how I am. I'm so like indecisive when it comes to certain stuff. And my best friend in the world, he always say to me, HB, he always
yep.
say,
Mm-hmm.
sis, you Tatiana Cunningham. I'm like, bro, that don't mean nothing. I'm nobody knows Tatiana Cunningham in Dallas. And he always like it really inspired me to be like the best. And so going back to, saying this move is probably one of the biggest accomplishments because he will always say, you don't like change. I don't like to try new food. I don't like to meet nobody. I don't want to go nowhere. I'm just really like stuck into me. I'm comfortable. It's comfortable to be on the Zoom with you because it's Tyrell. Okay, I'm on the phone with Tyrell. You know, it's comfortable. If this was somebody else, I'd be so nervous and so, you know, shy, and I don't know if I would be as comfortable. But moving out of Albany was, I guess, you know, I've been here 3 months now. You here?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm there. Sorry about
that. I've been here a little over 3 months. This probably was my best accomplishment I ever made. You know, shout out to my support system. You know, my kids' family is phenomenal, and my cousin is phenomenal. You know, she inspired me. She walked me through each thing. So I guess I could say moving here was one of them. I have some other things that I think that I don't know. I think this was one of the best things I ever did for myself. I don't appreciate it yet, but I will hopefully come back to next year and tell me how I feel.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Because really, it's just making me think about what you said earlier. It's like when I asked the question about the young Todd. So you talked about how your mom moved out to Del Mar, and you didn't want to go to Del Mar because you were so comfortable uptown up over here. So imagine still being faced with those same type of choices right now, and it's just like, okay, you know what? I really don't want to go anywhere new because I love my city. I love my people. I love my friends. I love what I'm comfortable with. But in order to get something we've never had, you got to do something you've never done.
Right.
So, you know,
I
that's
cried,
how I know.
Tyrell.
Yeah.
I swear, I didn't cry at first. It didn't really hit. When my butt got on that plane, right? So how I set it up was, I didn't take anything. I took a few of my grandmother's stuff, but I pretty much everything in my house. I said, you know what? I'm throwing it all out. Like I'm throwing it all out, and so I'll get new stuff when I get there. So I had a friend of mine, you know, like a brother, Larry. He just like, you know what, sis, I'm here to support you. And these are the good people that you have in your corner that's always going to be there for you. You always make sure you do good by people because he drove basically across the country, you know, with all my belongings and, you know, with no problem. It's here, sis, I got you. And I got on that plane, and all my friends and, you know, those who love me came to the airport, wished me well. When I sat on that plane and that junk went up in the sky, and I knew we was officially leaving permanently, I cried probably an hour on that flight. And the stewardess came to me and she was like, "You okay?" And I just like, "Yeah, we moving." And she was like, I'm in Dallas. I actually live in Dallas. Call me. I'll give you anything you need. I'll tell you certain stuff. So she texts me periodically. Hey, Tatiana, how things going? And she said, it's gonna take you some time, but you will love it. And I'm like, wow, I'm just really was so hurt because I felt like I just less, you know, you lose your identity when you move to a new place. You know, you're not Tatiana Cunningham no more that everybody knows. Your kids don't know who you are. The kids don't know. They can't go to school and the teacher says, "Oh, I know your mother. I used to go to school with her." You know, that's not there anymore. So the move was definitely a big step, and it's something that I tried to do that I never in a million years, first of all, come to Texas and never in a million years think I would leave Albany. It was not in my plan. 6 months ago, this wasn't in my plans. So I don't know, but God is amazing. I'll tell you that.
He is, and I'm gonna double back to that question a year from now, and because I already know one how positive that decision is going to impact you, but how positive that decision is going to play out in the lives of your kids. You know what I mean? It's just like I said, when you get a chance to get outside and you realize it's just like, yo, you know what? Things didn't have to be as crazy and chaotic because I done went down here. Like I remember going down like to Hartsville, South Carolina, and seeing some of my friends' family. I remember going down to Columbia, South Carolina, and seeing Butter's family down there, man. And I'm just down there, just like, yo, You know what I mean? They got huge families doing things and operating in a totally different way. It doesn't have to be just this way. So through my travels, I got a chance to bring back those experiences to Albany. Because it's like, yo, nah, it's other people doing it these types of ways. We could do it this way. Right. And I already know your kids, given the right amount of time, they'll realize that they got so much more going on right now, just being away. As opposed to being caught up, because being in a new place is scary, but it's also good when everyone doesn't know your name. It's also good,
right?
Yeah, you know what I mean, because everyone's not holding you to the same name. It's like sometimes sometimes we got a street name, and it's just like, you know, everyone always wants to hold you to that street name, and you can't shake it. Like no matter how much I'm trying to go ahead and tell you I'm doing something different, it's like, nah, I want to keep you here. You my man Boogie. You always gonna be Boogie. I'm like, I don't want to be Boogie no more.
Right. Yeah. Stagnating you to the point where you want to, you over that piece. Like, I'm not that person no more. And you know, if people do try to hold you into that one spot, and not even intentionally doing it, it's just it's just a regular way of what they're comfortable of you being that certain way. You know, and just overall, just within life, you know, making this move. My 15-year-old son, you know, he had a baby, and that was one of our biggest issues. You know, he's 15. You know, I tried to do everything I could do to prevent from something like that happening to him, or even my kids. You know, my oldest son. And to be a grandparent, you know, and with 3 kids, and then the baby lives in Albany, and it's like everything just started happening, you know. And so my cousin husband, he owns a trucking company. He said, listen, I'll take him with me on the road. He go to school, he do what he need to do for his son. He got a job with me. He's right now yesterday he was in Baton Rouge. Today he in Jackson, Mississippi. He's been going since last week, working, making a job. My son is 15. He probably making more money than some people that's working a full-time job right now. And he would have never had that opportunity. It brings joy, a tear of joy to me, because my son could have been in Baby County somewhere, like where he was heading to. He could have been somewhere in somebody's group home, or he could have been dead. He could have been part of those numbers that was keep happening this summer. But to know now he's traveling for work, he even works here. He's going to school online. He give me his hard time here and there. But the thing is, he never would have had that opportunity if I would have stayed in Albany. Nobody has that. So, you know, I'm just proud of little small things right now. He's gonna remember this for the rest of his life. Like, I was 15 down south making money, just doing good things. So putting good energy into stuff and showing him that you see people that love you. You see Black people making money, Black people living nice, Black people have nice cars. Teslas is just like a Honda to them out here. Like they just lit. I'm like, wow. My daughter like, you need to get a new car. I said, we just go, you know. But it's good to see. It's very good to see. It make you proud to see Black people really doing stuff. I hope Albany, we'll get there one day. We'll get there. Yeah, we will.
We'll get there. Well, listen, man. I know I've had you for a little while. I'm not gonna hold you for too much longer.
Okay.
Let me see where I want to go to you. I got 2 questions for you now. I'll let you go.
Okay.
What opportunities do you wish that you had taken advantage of in Albany, or you would like to see more of in Albany?
What opportunities I wish, what I would say is, I wish I would have took advantage of really investing in real estate.
Okay.
I think, you know, I used to, you know, say that, you know, we need to buy the blocks, right? And rent it out to just the people on Section 8, And, you know, my mother has Section 8, I have Section 8. These things that, you know, people don't realize, you know, that it's hard for good living, right? And so you have to, it's like they feel like they're forcing you into like a bad community. Like, you know, you got Section 8 or you don't make even if you only got Section 8, you don't make a lot of money, you can't really afford to live in a nice area. I think I wish I would have had an opportunity to invest into some properties, which I will invest more into properties earlier on. And because now the prices are going up, they not like
Yeah,
how
right
they
now.
used to be. Yeah, they're going up. But really taking an opportunity to invest in property in the community, in nice communities. They don't have to be uptown. They don't have to be downtown, but just in the city of Albany where where I could provide more safe living for other families, you know,
Nice.
and not kind of hold them back just because they have a certain type of income or a certain type of substance that helps them, you know, live properly. You know, people, you know, make a certain amount of money and, you know, they can't afford to have $2,000 of rent and still taking care of kids
Mm-hmm.
or family, or, you know, even two with a mother and a father in the house. You know, my father was never there for me, but my mother did everything she can do. She worked at St. Peter's, she did bartending, and she did what she needed to do to make sure that we lived okay. But we grew up on Clinton Ave our whole life. And right before she moved back to Chicago, she like, I'm moving over by St. Peter's. I swear to God, I didn't know that existed over there. Like, this is not like, I felt like, well, I don't know where she got us at. But she wanted us out of there, you know, out of that, you know, living in that environment. And so she took extra steps. So I feel like Albany definitely needs to have a variety, for families to live in just nice areas, not just, you know, clustered inside, you know, the communities where it's drug infested and violence. I think we need that. They need opportunities for people, low income people, to move throughout the city. And I think
Yeah.
that would be something that I wish I would have been able to do. I'll do it, but I wish I would have been able to do that sooner.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. Um, and actually, my last question for you is an easy one. I ask every person that I interview on back, if there was one person that you think that I should interview for back, who would that be?
Um, so is your interviews just for people that's left Albany, or they could still be people that's
No,
in there? Oh,
no, 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 no. Yeah. So right now, I think I've interviewed 15, 16 people, and it's a good combination of those who still live in Albany,
okay,
and then those who have moved on. So, yep, it's just Albany's the requirement.
okay. Who should, can they live in Schenectady or no? We talking about
Inter-
Albany.
Interesting. Yeah. Listen, 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 listen. You about to make me expose myself right now because, yeah, right now, season one, I'm sticking to Albany.
Okay, all right, okay,
Yeah.
all right. So, all right, somebody that you can interview that's doing a great job that you didn't. You already taught the cashier.
Nope.
Okay. Well,
Nope.
I think cashier definitely is a
Okay. All Street Global.
yes, my bro.
Okay. Okay.
I
Okay.
think speaking to him would be nice. And you know what? I had you know who else would be cool too, because she definitely has she's smart. Sierra, my business partner from
Boutique.
no, Sierra Murray.
Murray. Okay.
Now Sierra is not, you know, she owns a lot of property in the city of Albany. She was one of the main owners with us at Levels. Um, she has a couple little business ventures that she's done, but she could really touch on, you know, how to do real estate. She bought her house at a very
Okay.
young age, and she grew up on Sheridan Ave her whole entire life. Like, she really can have some good information to share with people that's interested in, you know, how to invest into the city of Albany. So,
Okay.
you know, somebody like her, Kassir, like I would say,
I'll take
um,
those. I'll take those.
okay,
The crazy part is, like I said, I'm already booked out for the rest of this season, and I have about 13, 14 names for season two already too. So,
Oh, okay.
but I make it a point to ask the question because obviously I don't know everybody, and I like to take the recommendations for those that I do know that I chose to interview. So, but yeah, I duly noted. Duly noted.
You know,
Duly
and
noted.
definitely, Tyrell, I want to say that this is a great platform for Albany in this to continue to do a great job. Watch some of your videos that you have of people and seeing all the success stories that everybody has. Um, I think, you know, this is a great thing, and I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
Oh, listen, it was my pleasure, and I'm actually thankful that I got a chance to learn more about you tonight. So the back community, thank you for having Tatiana Cunningham on, and thank you for sharing your experience with us, Todd. I truly appreciate it.
I love you, Ralph. Thank you so much. Take
I
care of
love
your
you
family.
too. I
Happy
will do,
holidays
man.
to you.
Happy holidays.
All right,
Later.
peace.